What's up? I'm Jake Bren with Bigger Than 12, joined by my co-host Derek Duke, where every Sunday we break down the Big 12 Conference.
We'll recap the full day in the Big 12 and look ahead to next week.
We talk a lot of Iowa State, but it's not just Cyclones. We go from Morgantown to Salt Lake City and everywhere in between. Be sure to check out Bigger Than 12 every Sunday here on Iowa Everywhere.
Nate Bargatze.
It's a lot to have two dogs because you got to open the back door and let two dogs out.
Big Dumb Eyes World Tour, Casey's Center, Friday, April 24th. Tickets available at natebargatze.com.
Ben Bruns, Aiden Wyatt. Breaking down everything from this week's Cyclone game. This is Cyclone Sunday, presented by Channel Seed, and best enjoyed with a carbless, premium handcrafted cocktail. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Cyclone Sunday.
What is up? It is Cyclone Sunday here on Iowa Everywhere. He's Ben Bruns. I'm Aiden Wyatt. Iowa State 20-13 winners over Oklahoma State. We are presented by Channel Seed here from the Channel Seed Studios. Bruns, how you feeling after?
I feel good, man. Feel good.
Kind of a blah game.
It's a one of those games you're glad to have behind you. One of those games that going into it, you're not sure whether or not this is going to be a win, but good to get a win. Good to have a chance to win 9 games. Loved the comments of the players afterward, and there's still work to do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was kind of nervous about 4 weeks ago, when Iowa State was riding a 4-game losing streak, and you go, "Oh my God, are they going to have to go to Stillwater to get the 6th win?" Because I don't know what the vibes would have been for a day like that with this Oklahoma State team.
Yeah, and talk about a chippy, punchy group, right? I mean, those guys did not play at all like a team that was 1-10. They were sure they were the better team yesterday, and I'll tell you, man, I found it off-putting. Sorry, I'm behind today. Got to get some power to the PC. I just kind of I did not appreciate how Oklahoma State carried themselves, and easy for an Iowa State person to say after game, but doesn't it make you wonder whatever went wrong with their season, or really their last 2 seasons? They were picked to win the Big 12 2 years ago. You got a coach get fired, the winningest coach in program history, just not the season that they wanted, but man, they were ready to play. And so A, I respect that, but B, they just were, I was not impressed by their behavior. How about that?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me, I know you get your nostalgia moment. Here's mine. The great John Olson, my high school football coach, who you know very well. He gave this one speech that, by the way, right. He gave a speech that no one will ever forget, because we were, not to open the yearbook, but we were pretty good in high school. We had the target on our back quite a bit, and we would always, the other team is always hooting and hollering before the game. They want that extra edge because they need something to play for. And it was like this whole, they're scared of you, that kind of thing. And so a team like Oklahoma State, that's 1-10, you got a bunch of guys who weren't playing at the beginning of the year that stuck it out for the old Gipper, that sort of thing. And it just felt like Oklahoma State was looking for an edge for themselves, if that makes sense.
They wanted to fight. And, those 2 wide receivers that were really productive in the game were kind of the ones leading the charge. I mean, it was pretty clear that there was no love lost between Iowa State's defenders and those guys. And, I just think it was not what I expected, but it's not a Mike Gundy coach team either, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So they came out swinging, and Iowa State took all their best shots. One of those games that you felt like you were this close, right? One drive, one play, one third down conversion. We were only 4 of 14 on third down again in this game, which is maybe why this felt so laborious. It was kind of back to that pattern, but 2 of 2 on fourth down and some really critical plays, right? I mean, that pass to Bramer will never get old, right?
Okay, someone has got to catch on to this. I mean, there's no way it works every single
covered.
time.
I mean, it was covered. What a great throw. What a great catch. I just, but when you're pressed up against the line of scrimmage like that, if he gets out clean, if he gets out at all, it's going to be really hard to stop that play. But it's not a high percentage play, So, but Iowa State, made those plays that it took. But man, did it feel like work, and it felt like there was always just one third down conversion in the second quarter that would have allowed a drive to continue. And maybe, you get up 17-0 and now you start to break the will of that Oklahoma State team. Iowa State had prepared themselves for a 4-quarter fight, and they got it. And they came out on top because ultimately they kept making the plays that it took to win the game. But, I thought for sure with 9 minutes to go when Iowa State got the ball back, we had an 8-minute drive ahead of us with a score. And having to punt in that series was a surprise with how well Iowa State was running the football. But, penalties really cost the Cyclones. And Aiden, I don't know another team that's had 3 punt returns that have been turned over to their opponent because it struck one of their guys in a season. And so, I'm not here calling I'm just like, the statistics behind this say that that's unusual. Well, what is it that Iowa State is doing, right? So as a coach, and this is what I love about Matt Campbell, right? He's going to look at that and he's going to go, okay, why does this keep happening? What are we doing that's different than what other teams are doing, right? Maybe we're trying to be that much better at maintaining our blocks. We're coaching that much harder. We're teaching the detail that much harder. But in reality, in that situation, your adjacency to the ball cannot be that great. The odds, it's not just some fluke thing. It's just not. Statistically, Iowa State is doing something different. So, what do you do to adjust, if anything, right? But you got to evaluate that and say, okay, what do I like about this? What don't I like about this? And, I just it's hard to have that many people compressed in an area where somebody is catching a football and not have the ball, if it's not fielded, hit somebody. It just happens, right? And the defender has the blocker has no idea where the ball is because he's looking at the guy across from him. So it's that kind of stuff, right? That play, the drive in the second quarter where you could have extended it, got a bigger lead. In the fourth quarter, you could have salted the thing away, without having to go back on defense or make your life a lot easier on defense. But again, Iowa State finds ways to win. They're just, it seems like they're that close to finding ways to dominate a game like Saturday. And that's the great part of continuing to learn, because there's so many guys on this team that didn't play earlier in the season that are playing now. It's a truly great learning opportunity.
Yeah, the punt return thing, when it happened, for me anyway, it was just kind of like, sure, that's about right. Because Iowa State has finally got a little bit momentum. Yeah, and like you said, I don't think it's a fluke thing. I don't think it's any player's fault. Yeah. I'm not sure that's any coach's fault. I think it's just the scheme they have in place right now. Like you said, maybe they're too engaged on blocks. And
I love if you're looking for a way to be uniquely great, one of the ways to be uniquely great is to maintain blocks longer than anybody else does, right? But I think as you analyze the risks associated with that, and hats off to Matt for taking more risks in the kick return game this year, right? Because in the past we fair caught everything. I mean, there were years where we fair caught everything, and that was a strategy, and it was okay, right? I mean, you were like, well, I think we have a couple guys who could punt return and get this going, but clearly we're coaching the heck out of that unit now, in a way where we want to create returns. I just think there's a nuance where are we taking this one step further than creates a statistical anomaly in the things that we're doing as opposed to the things that others are doing.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting too. I'm trying to find the number here. They said on the broadcast yesterday that Iowa State had only given up like 11 punt return yards all year. So I know we're talking about the return game. The main gripe about Matt Campbell 4 or 5 years ago was special teams is horrible. Why did they give up so many returns?
That's and coverage teams in particular, right?
Yeah,
the kickoff coverage team, back in the 2020 season, where we had a chance to, Oklahoma just torched us from a field position perspective in the Big 12 championship. So we've moved on beyond that, right? Like those coverage teams are really good. They're really good. Back to your point.
Yeah, it was just something that you didn't realize, and then you think about it, like, man, they really haven't given up any punt return yards, and that's credit to Tyler Perkins too.
Yep. Ray
Guy semifinalist, unfortunately not a finalist, right. But it mainly came to mind, and this is not Hawkeye Sunday, but with Cade Weegan, everyone is kicking to him, and everyone is having problems with him, and Iowa State just didn't. Maybe he was off that day,
you're right.
But that's really a testament of like, okay, Iowa State can be elite on special teams. There seems to be just one little thing that they can't get right on the return.
Yeah, and again, it would be easy to say, well, that's a fluke thing, and. But I just think this coaching staff will do a deeper analysis than that, and at some point, they'll say, this does seem like it's happening more here than it's where it's happening other places. So what might we change, right?
Yep.
And one of the things that I think as coaches take this leadership journey, and so this takes me to my nostalgia moment. You think back over the 10 years that Matt Campbell has been the head coach of Iowa State, and you think about all of the progress and all of the accomplishments, 3-time Big 12 Coach of the Year, winningest coach in school history, winningest everything in school history. Matt Campbell is the greatest coach in Iowa State history, and he's still at it. And, to have your team come back from such adversity this year is a tremendous accomplishment. But if you think about what Matt wanted to do when he got here, it was a lot about running the football in the Big 12 in games where teams were trying to spread you out and throw it like crazy and limit possessions and play great defense, and then be more athletic than the guys across town, and go play a more open game with teams. That so this idea of being able to be multiple and be able to I love the fact that on the broadcast yesterday they talked about that every single play in Iowa State's playbook can be run from every position group. Wild, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. And when you think about how do you create opportunities for yourself to improvise and respond when a situation isn't optimized? Being able to run every play from every personnel group does that, right? So, maybe the right play is in your playbook, but if you can't run it out of a certain group of people, you can't call it in that situation. And Iowa State likes to have a lot of different personnel on the field, and they like the matchup challenges that come from that. But that's part of what Matt talked about wanting to do when he first got here. And he wanted to have a great offensive line that ran the ball really well. Guess what? We have that. We have that now. And, the running game this year is as good of a running game as I've seen Iowa State have. And we've had some incredible running backs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, two of the best running backs in the history of our school have come through in this time period. But you go back, probably Iowa State has not run the ball this well, this consistently since 2001 with Ennis Haywood. I just think that the tight ends, even with Burkle not being able to play, so productive in the running game, being able to get angles on people. And, one of our complaints of some of Matt's earlier offenses was that there'd be all these people at the point of attack, and it'd be like this scrum that all of a sudden led something good to happen. That is not what's happening in this current iteration. Everybody has a person, they have a spot to be. They're motioning to enhance their leverage as opposed to motioning to just bring people into a jumbo set that gives them, a numbers advantage. I think it's a really great evolution of this Iowa State offense, and I think it is what Matt wanted it to be when he got here, and it's taken time to develop. It's taken changes in strength and conditioning staff. It's taken changes in offensive line and offensive coordinator staff, et cetera. But it's fun to watch these guys play. And you think about, I know maybe we jump into the Wyckoff heating and cooling player of the game here, but there's lots of candidates.
Yeah, well, that was our nostalgia moment presented by Nostalgia THC Seltzers. Go to your local Fairway or go out to Barntown and get one today. And now for our Wyckoff Heating and Cooling Peace of Mind Player of the Game. Wyckoff Heating and Cooling, we love locally owned companies here at Iowa Everywhere. And Wyckoff Heating and Cooling is no different. Call their number on the screen or go to wyckoffcomfort.com. I'm going with Caleb Bacon. I thought he played like his hair was on fire yesterday. Let me pull up his final stat line. 7 total tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackle for loss. It felt like that was the Caleb Bacon that we were expecting to see all year. And not to say that he wasn't that guy all year. It was just, it's nice to see him make a ton of plays. And that's what he did on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought Drew Sturgis was another guy in that arena. The interception caused a fumble that Oklahoma State recovered, made some really big plays. I mean, there's several folks on that defensive side of the ball. I thought Neal played a great game coming up and stopping the run. Oklahoma State could not run the football, and that's what they came into the game wanted to do some. And Caleb is a huge reason why. But I'm going to go with Tyler Miller on my side of it. I just think this offensive line, and in particular, a couple of guys, are just making plays and putting guys on the ground. And I feel like he has had a really, really, really great season. He and Jim Bonfas, to me, are two of the guys as we're looking at honors this year in the Big 12 Conference. I really hope that those guys get recognized. And, there's a couple others in that offensive line that should get tips of the cap too. But it's fun being able to say both sides of the football. Here's somebody who had a unique and high level contribution, right?
Yeah, and you're talking about offensive line. I want to talk about big old number 99. I'm going to butcher his name. Vea Aikakula. I'm not sure how I need to.
Well, you got away with a false start on the on one of the 4th down plays. Yeah,
right. Is that every offensive lineman's dream?
Yeah,
to get to play tight end.
It's like you bring a D lineman in to do the job. We get it. Like blocking in space is not easy, and I like that that we're doing something unique and novel and that brings a sense of energy to that unit. You can tell that he loves it, and just lock in there, brother. Just lock in there. We're really lucky we didn't get a penalty on that 4th down play.
He's listed at 6'3", 355.
Yeah.
He seems semi-athletic too. He's not.
Oh, he is athletic. There's no question. Yeah, he can move, and I think just part of that. There's a distraction factor of having that power back in the game where if he starts one direction and then counters another way, it's hard to the defense is going to react to that initial move. And Iowa State's done really well in the power counter and stretch game where they're moving offensive linemen in space. They're moving tight ends. They're blocking back. They're double teaming at the point of attack. And I just think fun to see Abu Sama stick it downhill a little bit more later in this game, right? If there's a criticism of Abu, it's that he's trying to bounce everything. And it's clear when all the blocks are kick-out blocks and you go outside, your likelihood of a holding call is going way up. But B, there was 3 yards inside. And if you go outside, you lose 2. Or maybe you get back to the line of scrimmage. And sometimes it works, but more often than not, like the long scoring run he had, it's because he was patient and that trap block set up in the middle. And, one of the great parts about trap is, all right, you got to hit this downhill. Like there's no other spot. You can't go anywhere else with it. Abu, here you go. Here's a trap play. And he settled into the middle of the offense and a little bubble formed because there's good blocking going on up there. And he ripped a big run in a critical situation. But I just think this running game is very nuanced. It's got a lot going on that allows us to be successful without having to run Rocco Becht a lot. And we talked about this during the losing stretch. What's the difference? What needs to happen? How can Iowa State be more effective in throwing and running the football? And that play action game all gets better when you've got a threat of quarterback run if you're doing a lot of read stuff. But Iowa State hasn't had to do a lot of read stuff because they're able to get in there and get physical, and then they can run more of a true play action and keep Rocco upright. And he's been smart with it when he's needed to pick up first downs with his feet.
Absolutely. Let's thank our friends over at Carbless handcrafted premium cocktails. We're tasting victory here on a Sunday. Product of Wisconsin. Bruns, you love them.
I love them. I love me a Carbless. And, everybody, when you think about this kind of a beverage, a lot of times you just think about drinking it out of a can. I started putting mine over the rocks, and it really is much more of a, it's like having a restaurant style cocktail in your glass, and it came from a can, just like you would expect a seltzer to. Much more flavor, not a lot of no carbs, right? So it's a great way to enjoy an adult beverage.
Who would have thought here on Sunday, November 30th, Iowa State wraps up an 8-4 season, and we're talking about how good the run game is, and we haven't mentioned Iowa State throwing the ball 24 minutes into a show.
Yeah, and you know what? That's probably okay. I mean, I think there was some frustration in that passing game yesterday. There's some moments of brilliance, right? But drops are still a problem, and I just think the consistency in that passing game for Iowa State is crucial, and they're trying to find it. It's not like anybody's trying to make those mistakes or whatever. And guys are making plays to redeem themselves and all that. But burying teams like this Oklahoma State team comes from executing all those plays like we did against Arizona. And, think back to the season those guys have had, right? Beat Arizona State handily yesterday. Iowa State played some good football teams this year and dominated one of them. Played winning football against a bunch of them. And played winning football for the majority of games in things like that BYU. I still feel like that officiating in that BYU game really bothers me, right? Them holding on offense in the first half and them holding on defense in the second half, really critical plays that didn't get called. But again, you got to be able to execute and overcome and Utah, like there were all kinds of opportunities. There's opportunities. That Cincinnati game was a bit of a bad situation to walk into, right? Your young players haven't had a chance to mature yet. But one of the keys to this season, Aiden, is the maturation of all those guys in the back end that hadn't played hardly at all, right? Some of them are freshmen. And as the season has gone on, they've been coached hard. They've been coached fast. They've grown up fast, and this is a very different defense in this, at the end of this season than it was midway through the season when, you go let Oklahoma convert things Colorado convert things they shouldn't convert and, win a game that they shouldn't win. So I just really pleased with the evolution of that group, and they should be really proud of themselves. This coaching staff should be really proud of themselves. And they went through it, man. It is not to Rocco described a little bit of like what it's like to look into that darkness and not know your way out. And that is an experience that if you've never had it in your life, it's not something that you can relate to. So, I think this was way more than a football season for these guys. This was a lesson in life. This was a lesson in Matt Campbell's brought exceptional people to this program, and they keep doing exceptional things, and they're able to overcome exceptional obstacles. And, you could say some of that's self-inflicted along the way, or that we didn't do things well enough or blah, 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 blah. I just, you end up in the situation you end up in, and what do you do about it, right? And that TCU win, to finish this season with 3 straight wins is a huge deal. So proud of these guys, really proud of them.
Yeah, the only downside about all these guys that got playing time is you're going to have guys who didn't have a price tag at the beginning of the season. And they're going to have a price tag. We're probably going to see a couple guys transfer. We saw Josh Patterson didn't even travel with the team yesterday. He has decided to move on from Iowa State. What do you think? Who are the key pieces that Iowa State this offseason? I know we still got a bowl game left. Who are the key pieces to you that's like you need to make sure that you keep them? I think Marcus Neal is number one on defense.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm comfortable wading into that territory. That's a great question, Aiden. It's one of those things that I just feel like the dynamics of that, as we talk about it, shifts the playing field that everybody's on. And so I'll say this. I think this is the best non-answer I can come up with. I think that Iowa State has done an extraordinary job of having people be here for the right reasons, compensating them well, but maybe not as well as they could get somewhere else, but having them be able to be part of something special and have, an impact in a way that good. I'm glad all those guys are worth more, right? Like that's great. That's how it's supposed to be. I played a lot as a freshman too, and I got a whole bunch of knee surgeries to show for it. And, it just good for them that they have a value beyond being on the roster and being somebody that can be counted on to. The transfer portal is a weird world, right? And egos are weird, and so I think, but Iowa State has a way of helping everybody understand that there's something bigger than their own situation, their own ego. Like, let us help you get where you need to go. Let us help you get what you need, right?
Yep.
But make sure that your contribution, or that your component of that doesn't make it so that we can't be successful with all the rest of this. And I think that kind of conversation people can relate to, and they want to see their teammates be successful. And in this case, in this day and age, it means compensation. So Derek Hoodger, Brett Bloom, Matt Campbell, and on and on and on, have done a really, really, really good job with this. And I anticipate they will continue to, and, they're going to continue to evaluate talent other places too, right? They're out there figuring out. So if somebody leaves, it's okay. We've proven that we can make a lot of things go with a lot of different folks, given it a little bit of time and their attention to detail. And, this season proves that.
Good answer. Yeah, I think it kind of goes into two. We've heard all these rumors about Matt Campbell. There's nothing to talk about, really, I don't think there. But it's just kind of the way he is. He gets his guys. He likes where he's at. And that's why I don't really follow recruiting for Iowa State that closely anymore. I'm excited when guys commit. I would love for guys to come to Iowa State. But I don't really care about if they're 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, JUCO, whatever. It seems like they just want to get their guys, because yesterday proved the culture. The last 3 weeks have proved the culture, because if you lose 4 straight games, there is no better time to just call it quits on the season and check out.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to get to the NFL, Iowa State's a great place to do it. Iowa State's a great place to do it, right? 15 guys in the NFL in Matt's time, right? And have had significant contributing roles. So I just think you have to look at a different part of the equation than just, but every year it seems like Iowa State has a more highly regarded recruiting class than the year before, right? And in the midst of finding that talent and finding those hidden gems and growing folks into great players, there's schools that are going to come. Will there be demand for Iowa State's talent? Yes. Why is that? Well, because Iowa State's got good talent. Iowa State's got guys that are going to go to the NFL, and they're going to keep doing that. So I love it. I just think that the way this coaching staff has gone out and found Ivy League guys who can play in the Big 12 and be successful and have great seasons, right? I love it. And then those guys get a great opportunity at the next level that they wouldn't have had if they hadn't played at Iowa State. That's huge. That creates a broadening perspective inside your program. And I think Matt and the team are doing it right.
Absolutely. Do you know what these guys have in common with Matt Campbell? Bob Stoops, Mike Gundy, Bill Snyder, and Mac Brown. Can you put this together? So those 4 plus Matt Campbell.
I mean, I got to believe it has to do with conference winning percentages. But
conference wins.
Those
are the only coaches in Big 12 history to have 50 or more Big 12 wins.
Wow. What a list.
Yeah.
What a list. Right? I mean, Matt has accomplished a tremendous amount in the Big 12 conference. I mean, I remember when we had a winning record in conference play my senior year in 2000, that was such a thing to be celebrated, right? Because it had happened so few times in school history. And, for Matt to do that regularly is really cool. And, if you want to go anywhere good and do anything fun, you got to win in the conference. And, Iowa State, we just think 2 games, Iowa State wins 2 more games, right? You win 2 of those 4 that you lost. All of a sudden, it's a really interesting look in this year. And those games were close too. It's not like Iowa State got blown out in any of those contests. We had opportunities to win all those games. So,
sorry, I don't know what's going on with my eyes right now.
Your way sometimes, yeah. It's been a long, strange journey this year. But the other thing I had come to mind, Aiden, was just the start of the year and going to play in Europe, and how the statistics have proven to be very challenging for the teams that have done that. And Iowa State bucked that trend in a major way. K-State was right on that trend, right? The teams that have played in that game have an overall combined record of 15 games under 500. K-State was even, right? 6-6. Iowa State, at 8-4, significantly outpacing that trend. And, I think I have no concept of how long this season has felt to these guys. When I played, we played 1 fewer game in 3 fewer weeks. That's a long time to spend. I mean, it's almost an additional month of football in the regular season. And I just, my hat's off to Matt and the team for weathering the storm and coming back and being, playing some of our best football of the year at the end when, it would have been easy to fold it up, as you said earlier.
Yeah, I actually looked into it over on a Cyclone Fanatic show. I think 2002, does that sound right? Where they played Florida State in late August. I think it was 2 days after. So it would have been August 25th-ish compared to August 23rd. And the last game was a day or 2 before November 29th. So it was that's really the only true time frame that you're that's the longest season Iowa State has ever played. Regular season. Yep.
I mean, that UConn game felt like a world away from the start of the season. And, similarly to think back to, playing in Ireland and beating a rival in that game, felt like you'd won a bowl game before the season even started. I mean, how weird, right? Just a very gratifying experience, but also one that takes a lot of energy. And Iowa State, I think, overcame that output, right, and was successful in spite of I mean, this was a marathon, and Iowa State finished the race, in the top half.
Yeah, 8-4. Season to be proud of. Season highs, season of lows. We've been lucky enough to cover it all year long right here on Cyclone Sunday from the Channel Seed Studios. He is Ben Bruns. I am Aiden Wyatt. We will have one more show following Iowa State's bowl game. We hope to see you then. Go check out Bigger Than 12. This has been Cyclone Sunday from the Channel Seed Studios right here on Iowa Everywhere.